In 2009, Jonelle Melton lived in Neptune City, New Jersey. She had a room in the building called Brighton Arms. Jonelle taught social studies at New Jersey's Red Bank Middle School. She liked history a lot and knew how to get her kids interested in it. Let's have a look at the cold cases that were solved with insane twists. By 8 a.m. on September 14, 2009, Jonelle still hadn't gone to school. It was a big day because she had a guest speaker coming to talk to her class. The school secretary asked Michael Melton, Jonelle's ex-husband, to go see how she was doing at her apartment. Jonelle met Michael after college. He said that he used to flirt a little bit with her. They went out on dates, and in August of 2003, they got married in Jamaica. They both got jobs at Red Bank Middle School as teachers. For about 3 years, the marriage worked well. Michael said he wasn't used to being loved so much or getting so much attention. He was gone a lot because he had started a basketball company. In the end, Michael asked for a divorce. Jonelle grew used to having her own room. Still friendly, they talked on the phone every day. When the school secretary told Michael that Jonelle didn't show up for work, he drove straight to her apartment. Jonelle's car was parked in the garage. When he got inside the house, he called her name. When he went into her room, she was lying on the floor. Michael saw what looked like blood on Jonelle's dress, which she was wearing. He thought she must have fallen while she was putting on her makeup. He dialed 911. Michael said that he remembered asking Jonelle what she had done. He thought that maybe she had hurt herself because she couldn't handle being apart. Around 9:20 a.m., paramedics went to Jonelle's flat. They quickly found out that she was no longer alive. Investigators found that Jonelle had been beaten and tortured over time, possibly to get her to talk. She was shot twice in the head and cut 5 times. Jonelle was hit so hard that she broke her jaw in 2 places. Due to how cruel the killing was, investigators thought at least 2 people were involved. They got in through the kitchen window. On the chair by the window, there was a print of a foot. The kitchen had been trashed inside the flat. Someone had opened the drawers and looked like they were going through the cereal boxes. People think that Jonelle was killed in her bedroom on the night of September 13th. Investigators found a piece of duct tape that was worn and torn. They think it was used to hold something together. Blood was on the duct tape, and rubber gloves were found near Jonelle's body. The proof was gathered and put away so it could be used in the future. The cops talked to Mikhail because he was the one who found her body first. First, the police tried to find out what they could about his contact with Jonelle. Michael said that they were still seeing each other sometimes. He said he thought the questions were very vague, but the cops needed as much information as they could get. Michael said that the night Jonelle died, he was at a friend's house. His story was checked out. The cops talked to Michael's friend, and his phone record showed that he wasn't anywhere near Jonelle's apartment on the night of the crime. 2 days after Jonelle was killed, Michael also agreed to have his DNA taken. On the piece, there was a news story. It said that Michael was her ex-husband and that Jonelle's body was found in her house. The divorce would be completed on October 6th. The article also said, Michael found out that people thought he was the one who killed her. Michael said that everyone went against him. All of Jonelle's family and coworkers thought he was to blame. Michael's friend was a lawyer, and he said he would protect Michael for free. No one was allowed to talk to him. When Michael went back to work, he found a note on his desk that said he couldn't teach or talk to kids anymore. Michael and his lawyer met with school officials. He was told that he should get a desk job while the probe was going on. The DNA from the duct tape came back on November 10, 2009. 2 months after Jonelle's body was found. Michael's DNA was on the duct tape. The blood that was left behind also had Jonelle's DNA on it. Before the attack, the cops thought that Jonelle had been duct taped to a chair. Michael said that the tape was stuck to his shoe when he found Jonelle, so he pulled it off with his hands, which is why his DNA was on the tape. Michael turned to drinking when he realized that no one thought he was innocent. He even thought about killing himself. The DNA was also found on the pink lighter, but the results were not clear. All of the evidence was sent to the office of the medical examiner in New York City so that it could be looked at more closely. Several months after Jonelle was killed, police were still getting tips. One neighbor thought he heard something loud. One woman said her dogs were awoken by the noise. A tall black man who didn't live in the building was seen acting suspiciously near the flat. Many of Jonelle's friends and family were upset that these neighbors had kept this information to themselves for months. 3 years after the crime, on December 3, 2012, the cops found out that the DNA on the lighter matched that of the suspect. It turned out to belong to a member of the Bloods gang named Gregory Jean-Baptiste. The cops then talked with him. Baptiste said that he had never met Jonelle or been to her place before. Baptiste wouldn't tell the police what he had done, so the police had to go around in loops with him. After 27 minutes, he said he was done talking. Michael tried to clear his name by asking a friend for help. The friend went outside to talk to the locals. The friend did get important info, and Michael told the cops what he had heard. Gang members were apparently looking for a drug dealer called David James, also known as Munch. Jonelle and David lived right next to each other. Word on the street was that David had $15,000 in a freezer. These people at a party heard his girlfriend's friends talking about drugs. They went to the wrong flat and thought Jonelle was David's girlfriend because they were at the wrong place. Then, the investigators went out to find anyone who would talk. Then, a person who knew something gave them 3 names. A woman, the 4th person, drove them away. Men named Ebenezer Bird, Gregory Jean-Baptiste, and Jerry Spaulding were found. All 3 of them were in the Bloods. Later, the woman was found to be Elizabeth Pinto, who used to date Ebenezer Bird. On December 1, 2015, a woman named Narika Scott said that Elizabeth Pinto was the driver who helped the thieves get away. Narika had been Ebenezer Bird's recent girlfriend. She went to the cops when she heard him confess during one of their visits to the prison. The cops could see that she was very scared to come forward. Elizabeth Pinto was asked to talk, but she was afraid to do so. She finally said that Jonelle deserved to be punished, and she accepted that she was the person who drove them away. She said that all 3 guys were dressed in black and told her where to drive. Pinto was shown pictures of all 3 guys, and she knew their names. She said that she had no idea where she was going. She said she would show them where she had left them. She admitted that she was involved in a plot and decided to testify against all 3 men. Pinto also told the cops that all 3 of the men were wearing latex gloves. Pinto dropped them off near their flat and watched as they crossed the street to get there. On March 23, 2016, all 3 men were charged with killing Jonelle, robbery in the 2nd degree, conspiracy, and using illegal guns. They all said they were not guilty. On January 17, 2019, the trial started. Elizabeth Pinto was the most important piece of evidence for the defense. The defense said Michael was really the one who did it. The defense said that there was still a lot of information that hadn't been tested. On September 13, 2009, the investigators thought that Jonelle was home alone. When Elizabeth Pinto went to Bird's mom's house, she saw all 3 guys there. She had her drive them to the apartments at Brighton Arms. Baptiste went in through the window and dropped his lighter on the floor. Then he opened the sliding door so the others could come in. Before the attack, Jonelle was in her room. She was tied to a chair with tape. They were looking for money and drugs, but when they got to the apartment, they realized they were in the wrong place. They shot Jonelle, most likely so she wouldn't be able to tell who did it. All 3 men's phone records showed that they were at Jonelle's flat. All of them were found guilty of killing Jonelle, stealing, working together, and having guns. James Fair, a 4th guy, was also found guilty of plotting to break in. He was the one who told people David kept his money in the freezer. They were all given life sentences. Elizabeth Pinto admitted to being part of a plot and was given probation for her crime. Judge Joseph W. Oxley of the Superior Court said that their 28-year crime run is over. James Fair is in jail for 82 years for crimes that have nothing to do with each other. Connie Sadler, one of Melton's sisters, told the judge about how hard the victim worked at her job and cared about her kids. Connie said that Jonelle was more than just a teacher and that it was her job. She believed that Jonelle knew God had called her to be a teacher and that Jonelle wanted to do more for her students than just help them excel academically. Connie added that Jonelle desired to make a genuine and lasting impact on their hearts and lives. Connie mentioned that the actions of those three men toward her sister were horrendous and evil. However, she acknowledged Jonelle's faith as a Christian and believed that Jonelle would want her to forgive them. Connie stated that she prayed for them and asked God to show them kindness. She concluded by expressing her belief that every action has consequences. Michael Melton went to rehab and is now working on his basketball spotlight business. He mentioned that, upon learning the truth about Jonelle's fate, a sense of relief washed over him as he realized he was not responsible. However, he also expressed profound sadness that she had lost her life due to a dispute over money. He stated that his life no longer revolved around himself. Instead, it had become focused on performing positive actions for the community and striving to save lives. This, he explained, brought him a sense of tranquility and provided him with daily motivation. Recognizing that he had been granted a second chance, he emphasized the importance of maximizing this gift. Paul Jandreau. In 2010, Paul Jandreau, a retired Navy chief and Grand Master Chief who was 51 years old, lived in Moyock, North Carolina. Stephanie and Christina were his children. Before he left the Navy, Paul was married more than once. Mike, his brother, said that he was a good person with a lot of close friends and family. Paul was married to Letitia at the time. He had met her in a karate class in 2002. Letitia, who was 29 years old, was a good athlete and a professional bodybuilder. In June 2010, she won the North Carolina bodybuilder title from the National American Sports Federation. In Norfolk, Virginia, Letitia worked in human resources at a children's hospital. Even though Paul and Letitia were different, they were said to be happy and loving with each other. Letitia started working for Blackwater Airlines in 2009, and she kept training for bodybuilding at the same time. But their marriage went downhill after Letitia lost a pregnancy when she was carrying twins. They also had problems in their marriage, and Paul filed for divorce 2 weeks before he went missing. There were signs of stress, like the fact that Paul reported that Letitia had broken into his car and put keys in it. Paul didn't show up to work on June 30th, 2010, which worried his co-workers because he was always on time. Deputy Sheriff Lisa Starcher went to Paul's house to make sure he was okay, but no one answered the door. When Letitia's office called her, she met with the officer and let her into the house. Letitia said that they had an open relationship and that they were both seeing other people. She thought that Paul may have left to be with one of his other dates. Since no one knew where Paul was for days, they thought something bad had happened. Co-workers and neighbors helped look for him and put up flyers saying he was lost. Paul's phone rang off a tower in Elizabeth City, about 30 minutes from his house, on July 1st, 2010. Police checked nearby hotels and thought they saw Paul at a Hampton Inn, but it turned out to be a mistake. A construction worker in Elizabeth City, though, found Paul's phone in the parking lot of an elementary school and gave it to the cops. On the same day, a neighbor called 911 to say that she saw Letitia and an unknown guy moving furniture out of the house. When the cops showed up, Letitia was told to put the furniture back in the house. Neighbors and co-workers saw suspicious things like wrapping paper and frosting spray being used to hide the windows. There were rumors that Letitia and Paul's marriage was getting worse after their failed IVF tries, which led to the death of their twins. Letitia agreed to give Paul's computer back on July 2nd, but she was not home when the cops came to their house. Letitia called 911 from somewhere else to say that someone was outside her home. But the operator was able to track the call back to the house in Bronzy Landing. Letitia was hiding in a closet when the cops came back with a search warrant. During the search, they found blood, a bullet hole, and a bullet track in Paul's bedroom. In the garage, they found a container called a toad, that had a shower curtain covering it. Under layers of plastic, tape, and kitty litter, they found Paul's dead body. Cleaning supplies, spent bullets, duct tape, glue, and plastic wrap were found in the house, which are all signs that someone was trying to hide something. Letitia was told what they had discovered. She then made up a story about how she had hired several guys in Elizabeth City to beat up Paul. She said that in Elizabeth City, she met random guys on the street who told her that Paul was mistreating her. Letitia didn't convince the cops, so they took her into custody. In another turn of events, Letitia said she wanted to talk after being locked up for about a day. Now she said that she did kill Paul, but she did it to protect herself. Letitia said that Paul attacked her early on July 30th, 2010. She said that he came into her room with a gun and told her that she had to leave the house before he got home from work. Letitia said she got her .45mm gun, went to Paul's room, and just kept shooting. She said that they fought even though he had been shot several times. Letitia's gun was in her car at her house, and the cops found it there. The gun was registered to Kyle Koenig, a former Air Force general and one of Letitia's boyfriends. She took the gun away from him. Another boyfriend had sued Letitia. At the house, the cops found a copy of the lawsuit. The man said that Letitia had taken advantage of him. Letitia had asked for money and said she was expecting twins with him. Paul filed for divorce after the man told him about it. There was also a ticket for the tote found in the house. In September 2012, the bag was bought by Letitia at Lowe's. This was caught on surveillance video. At her hearing, Letitia gave a statement. She stuck to her story that she shot Paul to protect herself. But the facts didn't match up with what she said. Paul had been shot several times and had been hit hard by something. The door to the master bedroom had a bullet hole in it. People think that Paul shut the door and that Letitia caught him by surprise. Letitia hit him in the head with the gun and shot him several times. The lawyer and one of his co-workers also said that Paul told them about waking up one night to find Letitia crawling across his room. Paul is said to have told his lawyer that after that, he always locked the door to his room. Paul's brother Mike said that the last time he saw Paul was at the Daytona 500 stock car race in February. He also said that Paul told him about his marriage problems and that Letitia was having an affair with him. Mike thought back. He had been talking about getting a divorce for weeks. He told me that she was cheating on him, and he had proof. He said that all he wanted was for her to leave his house so he could get his life back. On September 28, 2012, the jury talked for an hour and a half. Letitia was found guilty of murdering Paul and stealing a gun. She got a life sentence with no chance of getting out. In 2014, Letitia's petition was turned down. People think she killed Paul because she didn't want to give up the good life he gave her. She was a master at getting what she wanted, and she used Paul and a few other guys. Officially, Letitia is in prison at the Anson Correctional Institution in Polkton, North Carolina. Thank you so much for watching.